I decided sort of mid-March 2018, this is what I'm going to do. Let me find out more about it. By the end of March, I'd read whatever books I needed to read. I'd looked at a few blog posts. I'd done all my goldmine area research. I'd already got a list of agents together and got my Rightmove stuff set up. And then I was just like, well, let's just do it. Hi guys, I'm Matt Harris and welcome to the HMO Experience. Whether you're looking for a profitable side hustle or you're looking to start your next business venture, this series is all about helping you get started with your own rental arbitrage or rent-to-rent property business. I'm showing what I learned from starting and scaling my own business in London, mentoring mastermind clients and hosting the HMO Experience Property Podcast. By following this series, you'll also get access to a bunch of free resources that will help you get your business off the ground, including guides, templates and checklists. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you get notified when the next episode drops. This video covers one of the major considerations that people often overlook before they start their own rental arbitrage or rent-to-rent business, and that is knowledge about the business. I'll be going over 4 key areas: deciding what it is you want, educating yourself with free information, the difference between learning and doing, and investing in your own education. Remember to grab the free 5 steps to rent-to-rent success guide, which will help you get started by clicking the link in the video description below. Ready? Let's jump in.
You've got 2 real options. The first option for you is to find a strategy within HMOs to make job replacing income. The natural next step for you is to learn how to use the rent to HMO strategy. The rent to HMO strategy is for those who want to get job replacing income fast, who are not looking to buy property themselves, but actually looking to control other people's HMOs and making good profit that way. Alternatively, if your end goal is to buy properties to not only generate income now, but also to build your long-term wealth and property, that of course is when you're buying the property to do up as an HMO. You're owning the asset as well. That's the first step. Decide what your outcome is. Do you need job replacing income here and now? If so, how much is that money that you need each month? What do you need to either go towards replacing or fully replacing your job income? What's your monthly figure? Write that down. If on the other hand, you're looking to have a slightly more long-term buy and hold strategy, identify that, write that down, look at the number that you want, either a number of properties or the wealth of that portfolio. It's about being very clear when you start out what you want to achieve, and therefore identifying which of the 2 paths you want to go down.
For me, the path was very clear. When I started a couple of years ago, rent to HMO made sense for me at that time. It's a great strategy. It does work. Going through this sort of process, like what was your initial objective and has that changed as time has gone on?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, we have changed. And the immediate need was to create job replacing income. I had a corporate job and I was looking to get that replaced as quickly as possible. So I had to do a cash flow generating strategy. And for me, it was rent to HMO. The immediate short-term goal was I need cash, I need to get an income, and I want a recurring income stream. And that's where the rent to HMO side was perfect for that. You get paid every single month as you get more and more properties, and you've got nice certainty of income over the medium to long term. So on the back of learning the rent to HMO strategy first, we obviously learned from experience how to set up and find good quality houses to run them as HMOs, and then simply sharing some of the examples of what we've done and how we've done it. We then were able to attract finance using other people's money to then go and buy properties to convert to HMOs. So we've got great income stream from rent to HMO. That's now been leveraged and outsourced. We then pivoted away to go and buy properties. So we're raising money to go and buy more houses. That's the long-term buy, develop, and obviously hold strategy. But it's using HMOs at the core of everything that we do.
So when you identified what you wanted to get immediately, i.e. cash flow, how did you then go about finding out, what was the right strategy for you, finding out more about that strategy? Was it books? Was it videos? Was it courses? What was your chosen method of developing your knowledge further and giving them the confidence to go, okay, you know what, this is the right decision for me, this is what I'm going to go with?
I guess like many people, I went to the power of YouTube. I wanted some free stuff. I wanted to find out a bit more about HMOs first of all, and before committing to spending money to really cement my education and knowledge in that strategy, I wanted to find out a bit more about it. So I literally went onto YouTube and just typed in rent to rent or HMO or rent to HMO and I literally started getting a whole bunch of videos from people, some better than others, but again, it gave me that sort of foundational knowledge. It wasn't enough detail or necessarily accurate enough to go and do anything with, but it gave me a grounding. And then once I realized that this was definitely going to be a strategy that could help me get my, replace my job income relatively quickly once I learned how, and then I paid for some training on that. What did you do when you set up and started?
I did a bit of research on Google and a couple of books more generally around like property investing rather than rent to rent specifically or rent went to HMO. I went on a couple of sort of half-day taster courses, and then from there I kind of thought, this is what I'm going to do. So rather than continually reading about it, let me just do it and figure it out, and then you know, as and when I need the help, then I'll go and find it. So once I got started, I mean, I did all of my research in a pretty short space of time. I think I decided sort of mid-March 2018, this is what I'm going to do. Let me find out more about it. By the end of March, I'd read whatever books I needed to read. I'd looked at a few blog posts. I'd done all my gold mine area research. I'd already got a list of agents together and got my Rightmove stuff set up. And then I was just like, well, let's just do it and see what happens.
One thing, do you mind if I just come back to something you mentioned before?
Yeah.
So you got a whole bunch of sort of free resources and information. You got your knowledge up there, like I did too.
Yeah.
And then you got to a stage, you did some training. What was for you? What was your experience between what you'd learned and then what you actually experienced when you're actually trying to do it on the ground in North London?
The difference was this: a lot of the time, what I was reading and the resources that were saying that were what the resources were telling me was, it's quite easy. You know, you speak to an agent or you send out a couple of letters to the landlord and they'll come back to you and it will just happen like that. The reality on the ground is it required quite a lot of phone calls, even to try and get a viewing sorted out was a challenge. What I also found was that quite a lot of the resources that were available will tell you how to get started and you know, get to the point where you probably get your first property. But then actually the sort of ongoing management after that, you don't really get very much information about that. Checking in your tenants, managing your tenants or your housemates, you know, managing the property itself.
Yeah.
Landlord relationships, what happens when things go wrong, you know, business processes and systems and all that kind of stuff. There's very little information around that out there. I already had an existing business, so in terms of, you know, systemizing and processing and knowing what happens afterwards, I already had an idea and I was quite comfortable in terms of doing that. But I think that is where there's probably quite a big gap in terms of, you know, free knowledge for sure.
So just use a huge amount of common sense here. The reality with any property business, whether you're buying or doing rent to HMO managing, is that there are good bits and bad bits. The reality is it's never going to be plain sailing, but invest in your education to know the understanding, the foundational knowledge, and then surround yourself with people who are doing it too, so you can get help and support.
So there are a few options in terms of free resources. As I mentioned, as part of my journey, like once I kind of exhausted those, you know, it was time to have some training or go on to a training program where mixed with other people who are on the same journey and also those who are further down the line, right, to get the benefit of their experience, which I found massively useful. You know, learning from people that have done it already with specific questions or specific issues which you know, you might come across as you develop your knowledge and as you're doing things on the ground. That's super useful to, you know, provide guidance and stop you from making, or help mitigate making the big mistakes which you know, other people have made before. Is there anything you feel that we've missed, Damien, which we haven't spoken about yet, in terms of if you have a lack of knowledge, what other avenues you could go down, what else you can look at, that sort of thing?
Sure. Yeah, one key thing I wanted to show people, again, you touched on it earlier, Matt, which is there's lots of information about how to find properties, irrespective of whether you're doing the rent to HMO strategy or the buying strategy. And there's lots of training about how to, again, get those properties ready to rent out to generate income. But there's a real lack of information out there about how to build a sustainable business around those two strategies. The buying or the securing of a deal, a property that suits you, is easy. As you rightly identified, it's the how do you make money from that? How do you make sustainable money on that? How do you build and scale that business, whether it's rent to HMO or buying, so that you can build long-term wealth and income from those strategies? What are the realities about running and scaling that business so you can actually get other people to help you to run it so you can get your time back? There is a misunderstanding out there that this is all quite straightforward and the finding the properties is the difficult bit. It's not. That's the easy bit. The challenge is making those assets, your HMOs, pay you handsomely for the long term. And how do you do that in a way so they're being looked after well, so you don't have to do the work or much work to go and, you know, maintain those? That is the key. It's really important you surround yourself with people who can help you. And once you've got the property or your first property or your next property, surround yourself with people like a little power team or maybe a mastermind to help you literally go through the realities of running the business, creating your systems so you can get yourself out of that business. The only way to get true passive income is if you remove yourself out part of the day-to-day running of your HMO business. And you can do that by creating systems to help you have that control without actually being on the ground.
Now that you've decided why you want to start a rental arbitrage or rent-to-rent business, and you've built up some knowledge around the business, all you want to do now is get going. But what's the next action you need to take to start the business? And what are you looking to achieve over the next 3, 6 or 12 months? It all comes down to creating an action plan that you can execute and put all that knowledge to good use. That's what I'm going to be covering in this video right here, where I'll also be explaining the steps that you can take to create your 90-day action plan to get going. Don't forget to download the free 5 steps to rent success guide, and please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.